And I want to ask this to both of you since we're on the topic here, because when you guys are talking about how the biggest section of, or I don't know if it's the majority, but it's pretty damn close, of people those who don't vote. What do you guys think about compelled voting? Like, so a lot of countries do this where, like Australia, I know does this, where you have to vote, where they will find you and say, no, here, fill out your card. You have to put up. What would you guys think about something like that?
I'm all on board for it. It should be a thing. I don't know why we don't have it. It doesn't make any sense that we don't. It's just like insurance. Everyone's got to participate for it to work. Like it should be mandatory voting. That way you get a fucking democratic outcome.
What if they don't vote?
It's a tax penalty.
Yeah,
and what that ends up becoming is not a tax incentive. You know, it's just like, hey, you're gonna pay extra money on your taxes this year if you don't vote. Just go out and fucking vote. And you know what? A lot of people will still not go out and fucking vote, but you know what? I'm okay with taxing them.
Yeah.
That's like if you aren't going to do the bare fucking minimum to participate in the democratic process, I'm all right if you pay a little extra taxes.
Now,
I have no problem with that.
Now, before I get to Kathy's answer, I want to throw this out too, because you know how Republicans they always say that they don't like democracy because they don't want people voting. I've always found it ironic that Republicans kind of prove their own point to me. It's like, yeah, maybe you guys shouldn't vote. That would be pretty good if you guys didn't. I would be pretty happy about that. Just spreading it out would be pretty interesting. So, what do you think, Kathy?
I have so many thoughts. Yeah. And I know you can tell because I'm scribbling, right? And it's funny because I've actually been chewing this around, and I'll invite people to go listen to my podcast, Just Buy Less Coffee, because I was talking about this with one of my friends.
Just Buy Less Coffee.
Yeah.
That's a great name. That's a great name.
Yeah, it's JBLC for short, but like, you know, why are you poor? Go, just buy less coffee. But I think that we are actually, because I've been teaching James Madison as well, so bear this in mind. I've got Federalist Papers on the brain. But I think we are, in fact, a multifactional pluralist democracy that is trapped in a two-party oligarchy, right? And that makes for strange bedfellows, if you will. And I don't think you can make people vote, okay? Like, at all. And like, I'm going to go around in circles because I'm going to come back to it, right?
Let's go.
Like, what is liberty? What does it mean? It means you have the freedom to decide what to do. And if your liberty is then dictated by the government, that you have to participate in the government to have liberty, you do not have liberty. And to the tax penalty point, the power to tax is the power to destroy. If your government can impose a financial penalty on you, if you don't participate in a governmental process, that is not a free nation and a free people with liberty and whatever. Like, if your form of speech and participation is to say, fuck you, I'm not voting, that is your right as an American.
So, first of all, you can totally do that. You can write in "fuck you, I'm not voting," and you wouldn't get a tax penalty. Your logic says you're against the individual mandate. Is that true?
No, because carrying health insurance is not guaranteed in the U.S. Constitution, but life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is. Okay?
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Yes.
No, it is not.
It is.
That is not a right in the Constitution.
Yeah.
Voting is also not a right in the Constitution.
Read
the preamble.
14th Amendment. Read the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment does, in fact, guarantee your rights and liberties without due process of law.
Why does that apply to voting and not buying insurance?
Because suffrage is also in the Constitution. The right to vote will not be impeded by this, by this, by this, by this, by this. Your right to vote is not impeded.
Yeah, I was going to say, your right to vote is not.
That's not
your
right to vote.
No. If you, a right or an obligation. Is voting a right or is it an obligation?
It is not a right. According to the Constitution, it's not.
Well, what? But yes, we're talking theoretically.
Because your right to vote,
what is it?
No. It says your right to vote cannot be inhibited by the right to vote. Is
never grants you that right to vote.
It's an implied. The Ninth Amendment. It's like an enumerated power to the people in the Ninth Amendment, voting, and then voting being a protected.
We take away that right from felons. So clearly,
correct. But the Constitution says we can.
Right. Well, that goes.
we're talking appeals to legality here. So like,
yeah, we're talking what's actually the right decision.
I don't really care about it, the Constitution, what it says in any way, shape, or form.
Well, that's not something you should say on record.
Well, no, but I'm saying no. John saying that like the Constitution saying something doesn't mean it's the best thing to do. I think is what.
Well, I know, but like we should care what it says is what I mean.
Right. Yeah, but
we should care what it says.
It can be
what I think should be done. The Constitution is irrelevant. If the Constitution said,
well,
you
no,
should
then you
slap
can't
your mother
say
in
it
the
that way
face,
because
I would say no.
No, because what you're saying is the Constitution needs to be amended to do something, right? It's like this is the core message I try to get through the kids, right? Because your morals, your values, your things, the things you want to exist, the things I want to be in America, great, that's fine. You're allowed to have all of those rights. The question you have to ask on all of these things is, where does your individual right as a citizen end and the government's authority over you begin? And if you want that to be at voting, then your inherent value as a citizen is controlled by the government, because even your ability to participate in government is controlled by your government.
I would argue that forcing someone to buy healthcare is a far larger infringement on their liberty than forcing them to vote.
Nope, because that's commerce, and Congress and the Constitution grants the right to regulate commerce between states and the several states and the Indian tribes.
Let's pretend we're rewriting the Constitution from scratch.
Well, that's a completely different question.
Optimal.
But that's what the question is. Like, what would be optimal? Like, if you had a magic wand, like, what would you do? Yeah, like not bound by the constraints of legality.
So to this, you legally have to, under penalty of law, vote for a turd sandwich or a giant douche.
Or say none of the
above.
You can vote for whoever you want.
Or just put an X on none of the above.
No. But I'm saying that's the ballot, right? You're being forced to participate. If the government is forcing you to do something, then it's an authority over yourself that you have given to the government. That is no longer your right. The government has that right, which means if the government has the right to force you to do something, you're giving them the right to decide if you vote. Because if they can force you to vote, they can just as easily prevent you from voting. Or it's one step further. Nope, it's one step further to force you to vote for them. See Vladimir Putin.
So
see the Brazilian government. All of these places. Look at places that do in fact.
Slope argument. Like Australia doesn't force people to vote for anyone.
Yeah,
no, but is it a greater potential there than it is here?
So I don't know. Actually, I don't know if I agree with that.
No, not based on the people or the whatever. Based on just the rule of law. Is the government having the authority to control whether or not people vote? Something that gives them the authority to decide whether or not people.
I mean, they already do. They stop felons from voting.
Yeah,
under due process of law. So if you violate the law, you're saying this. What I'm saying is, and you can
you're violating the law by not voting.
Yeah.
Then you're giving the liberty of your, like, that's what I'm saying. You're giving a fundamental liberty. You can have that position. It's totally fine. I disagree with you. And the reason for it is I don't think a free government forces participation.
Yeah, it's an interesting debate. I side more on no, because I don't like the penalty for it. I don't. It does sit well with me. I don't have quite as like maybe an esoteric defense as Kathy does.
I've been doing this for 20 years. So.
Yeah, it's just that it's interesting, and also I'm not sure how effective it would be. Honestly, I really don't. I'm not super convinced.
That's the thing. It's just both. It's win either way. Either we generate more tax revenue off of idiots, or we get more voter participation. Either way, that's a win-win to me, and no one gets harmed.
Yeah, and it's just
I think the core of liberty is harmed. Like, I think everyone should vote.
I don't understand. If you were biting the bullet and said individual mandate is wrong, I'd have no problem with your argument.
Because the reason for it is because, one, I think the individual mandate is different entirely because it's you have to participate in commerce, right? Like this is the thing. Okay,
the Constitution doesn't exist. Magic wand.
No, I know, but because the people who pull the levers of power do, and they want to earn profits, so forcing people to buy things is bad, and I think that's kind of bad. I don't, in fact, like the individual mandate, but I understand that Obamacare doesn't work without it. So from an economics perspective, I think the individual mandate... No, stop, listen. I think that from an economics perspective, the only way the Obamacare policy works is with an individual mandate. So I support it in that regard. As a theory, as a concept, do I? Absolutely not. I don't think you should be forced to participate in that. But I would support a single payer system because that is something that you are consenting to be governed for. Okay, I would like my government to collect this money and use it for these purposes. So I don't really like Obamacare. I just like it better than not having fucking health insurance.
Yeah,
I just,
I think I agree completely. I think the individual, honestly, I'm not comfortable with it either, but it doesn't work without it. It absolutely doesn't. And if you're going to have this system that you would, now that's why the single payer system makes a lot more sense, because as a tax, it's a lot less nebulous. Because like I was going to say right before, I think John brought it up, is that forcing to participate in commerce is weird too. It's like, well, why? Why do I have to do that? But it's not as if like a car insurance company. Well, fuck, I don't know, but I don't know. That's always an interesting discussion.
Car insurance is bad, man.
It's always an interesting discussion whenever we bring up I don't think we actually brought up the show at all before. I just thought of it just now when we were talking about the people who don't vote and what to do with them.
This has been our most debatey show that we've ever had, I think. And
no, it is not. No,
well, okay.
It is not.
No, but even that show that you're alluding to, it was like one really bad debate.
That's what you remember. That is what you remember. That was not
there was another debate.
There was other ones. Yeah,
I'm so curious right
We had a guy rage quit on the show. He like shut off the camera and left or whatever. Wonder what he's up to these days. Yeah,
he's still out there. Ryan Shahid.
Ryan Shahid. I think I saw a video of his.
It's Sheed.
What? I was gonna say, that name sounds familiar.
Yeah, I think I Twitter following.
I saw one of his videos pop up. I said, "Oh yeah, I remember that guy. That guy's a fucking coward." That's right. Let's see.
It was over the dumbest thing too, Kathy. It was over.
Kathy.
It was over. Whether
hold
or
on,
not you
hold on,
give
John.
unemployment insurance. Well, go ahead,
John, what would be really funny if Kathy's like, "No, he was totally right." She's like getting mad. But go ahead.
I've been teaching government, so like my job sometimes is devil's advocate. I just have to poke at you to make you like real. Like that's all I'm doing.
It was over whether or not unemployment insurance should be given to workers who are on strike. That was the rage quit issue.
And it was me and John and Corey Bradford on the show. We had 4 people on at a time back then. Mm-hmm. And all 3 of us, I guess, is a pretty good idea. And then a guy, like, I don't know, he got mad at you, John, for something. I can't remember, but it was something that, I don't know, maybe you just started picking up the topic more than Corey and I did, but yeah, he went back and forth, and like the guy just slowly got angrier, and it's like, so you're saying we need to pay these people who refuse to work? It's like, well, I mean, it doesn't kick in until like 8 weeks or something. I don't know. And the guy just lost his mind. He thought that he thought that we were one of these like you lefties are trying to tear down the Democrats and everything with these wild. He's like, this doesn't seem insane, but yeah, the guy completely lost his shit. That was a wild episode.
I'm not going to lose my shit, but I do kind of agree with him.
Oh my God, there we go.
Of course she does. Get the fuck out of here.
No,
only because like I work as an AR, or I used to, not this year, but like as an AR, like that's the union's job. Like the union pays the supplemental salary to their striking workers, and if the government starts funding union workers, then that's the government endorsing a side, and I don't think the government should endorse either side. In like arbitrary strikes, right? Like, are there times where the government should take a stand? No, I like, and I don't like it.
Workers from their homes,
right? And I don't like that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of things I don't like, but my point is, if we're going back, because remember, I teach this. I'm like, this is how it should work. If we're getting back to what the core values are, unions should have more power, but unions should do more for their people, right? Like they're supposed to be an entity all to themselves. Remember, we're supposed to be this multi-factional system, and unions are supposed to exist in the same way political parties exist, and they're supposed to have sort of the same power. They don't because Reagan, right? But like that's how they're supposed to work. And when those people would go on strike, their unions did fund their salaries. And if it's a union issue fighting a company, the government stepping in to aid a like that's just like there's no political world where that's like you're going to get elected doing like you're just not going to get elected doing that, right? Like I get the spirit of it and I understand like the stand behind the worker, but from a power of government and a balance of power and
what
how
if you are?
to protect the rights
what
of
if the
people.
democratic will of the people is for that to happen?
Yeah.
then there would need to be a law that says that the government
That was
should do this.
that's what it
Well,
was.
that was
Like
the
it
thing.
passed.
No,
It
it was.
passed
It
Congress
passed, and
in
Newsom vetoed
California, and Newsom vetoed it. Yeah, that was the issue. The people were cool with it, or at least the representatives were. I don't know. I think the government definitely does take sides in union.
They 100%
Yeah,
do,
and it's
but I don't
usually
think
the
they
side of
should.
the company, and so it's
Right, which means that we
yeah.
have a negative view of them for doing that, right? Like we view them negatively because they get involved on the side of the business, right? If they're paying unemployment benefits to the union strikers, aren't they essentially doing the same thing on our team? So
Well,
basically, it's
Our
okay for
team's
us, but it's
right,
not okay
though.
for you.
But there's no option to take no
Fine,
side
but
here.
the government.
There's no option.
No, I
to.
know, but
Yeah.
the government side is supposed to be what what plays out in the legislature, and the process is the people said we want it, the governor said no. Then the people need to work harder to get it because
Yeah.
not enough people support it because the governor doesn't think signing it will be good politically. And I'm going to venture to guess the governor understands the political dynamics more than people that are like, yeah,
Which
I'd
is
like you
why
to
we
pay
should
me to
have
say
more
fuck you to my
direct
boss.
democracy.
Well, yeah,
I disagree with that too.
Oh, you really wanted into the weeds here.
No,
like,
no,
oh,
I
yes,
do.
direct democracy. That is.
I've read the Federalist Papers like 20 times, though. Okay, so and the reason for it is that I respect the Federalist structure. I think direct democracy works. Look at me. I'm quoting Brutus actually right now. I'm quoting the anti-federalists somehow right now, which is very strange. But I think direct democracy works very well at the local level, like the things that directly impact you. But gigantic, big ass fucking decisions like the federal budget and like federal foreign policy and federal like aid programs and how to treat veterans, I don't think Joe on the corner is fully equipped to make those decisions. So I think it's a good idea to have smart people making the big decisions and like regular people making the regular decisions. But I don't want everybody
with that for the
yeah,
most part.
I wouldn't disagree with that either. Yeah,
I wouldn't. I don't want direct democracy.
I certainly don't want
but
national
more direct
vote
democracy. Right,
that's all Syrian foreign policy. Yeah,
exactly.
I want a section of the federal budget to be discretionary and up to direct democracy. I think that would be
that's a good law.
Beneficial.
Like,
yeah,
because I think that would be great. But then the question is like, how would you determine? Because then the discretionary spending is Congress, so then they could just arguably say it's for like anti-abortion programs or adoption facilitation.
There's a lot of logistics into how exactly it might work.
So like,
I think we're in agreement on the broad strokes here.
Yeah.
But like those are state level issues. So like,
of course, yeah.
Like states need to let their people have more of a like one good thing I'll say about Florida is that they allow ballot referendums, right? Like if we can't get our legislature to move, we can be like, well, motherfucker, I'm gonna put it on the ballot, and the governor can still do his place tricks. I know what you're gonna say, right? But we also have tricks back that we can go. Like Florida is pretty close to the direct democracy that I think you're envisioning.
Wait, isn't Florida a 60% ballot state? Like, because I know the abortion, because most states are 50. Because I would like, even like Iowa is a 50+1. So that's that seems anti-direct democracy to me that they're a 60%.
No, because it's the 60% threshold to change the Constitution, and that threshold is inspired by the federal Constitution of 2/3 of Congress, 3/4 of the states.
Right. But I mean, like a lot. I thought most states were at 50+1 because I remember seeing that. I was surprised.
I don't know. I know some are, and I know some aren't.
Because like Iowa just changed theirs because they had the abortion. They changed it from 60 to 50 like 10 years ago. And then when the abortion measure was put on,
I know they tried to put it back.
They tried to take it back to 60 or whatever. And that, I mean, I do wonder. I
the funniest part is it hit 63. Like
I know it's funny too. Like, it is pretty.
Like
funny,
I would have loved it. I'm like, fine, you raised it to 60, and we still won. So motherfucker, eat it in. Right? Like, it's
I don't know. It's just that I can. Jesus Christ, we only have 20 minutes left, but I can kind of see. If I squint, that we want to make sure this has overwhelming support before we change, something on Constitution. All right, I can kind of get that. And still, the people either want it or they don't. That's kind of how I see it. And like 55 people out of 100 wanting it. Oh, sorry, it wasn't 60. Well, then why not make it 70? Like, why not be absolutely damn sure about this? Like, it's completely fucking arbitrary. Make it a simple majority. It's the easiest and the most fair. I don't know. That's just how I see it. I don't like the 60 thing, but all right, fine. Let's move on.
I don't have strong feelings on that one either way.
Yeah,
I just know what it's inspired.
Yeah.